Hey, muy buenos dias, everyone. I hope everybody's doing well, blessed, and enjoying family. And as always, muchísimas gracias to everyone for you guys' words, prayers, and all your love you guys express and send my way. From the heart, I appreciate every one of you. Thank you. And before I get started, do please help me keep on putting the message out there by liking, subscribing, and sharing, please. At the end of the video, I would update what the doctor said this morning. For those that don't really know, I'm currently in the hospital waiting open heart surgery. But again, I don't want to bore everybody with it. I'll touch on it at the end of the video. Thank you. Now, for this one, I'm gonna touch a little bit on something from the past, right? That I had personal interactions with, as something with the present. That a lot of people know that event, that incident, but I don't know the background to it. So I will touch on it now that certain people are out and it won't have no repercussion, right? As you guys know, and ain't why I'm on here, correct? But anyways, today I want to touch on Rube Soto, Coco from 18th Street, the incident with MS, and basically something that happened as I was with Santa in Pennsylvania, right? And that I had personal knowledge of. To be honest, that I had personal, wiggling in, or I did an action behind this going on, right? But allow me to get into it. You see, when we were in Pennsylvania, there was still a lot of, you could say, misunderstandings or a lot of yes, no's on a couple bottles from MS, right? Which was little, and another bottle that is currently still active, and he's a carnal, right? He's a Billy. But anyways, I'll circle around, little on this one. There was a lot of controversy on Little. Was he not? A lot of people approved of him, a lot of didn't, right? For the fact that, well, Rube Soto had a lot of open politicking with other members, right? For example, at one time he was good with Evil in Mexico, and then due to he seen more gang or more, you could say, following from Mike Boo, that he sidelined with Mike Boo against Evil. It's kind of, I'll touch better on it, but it's kind of where that misunderstanding where Fox got put up, because Fox, of course, he lined up with what was right, which is Evil, right? And he understood that Rube and Mike Boo and Fast Freddy and them was just greed, right? They just wanted more without doing nothing, because at the end of the day, Evil was the one out there in the line, getting everything sorted out. But anyways, again, back to Rube, right? And mess. At this time, Rube had numerous awards going on, right? Just to touch a few, not so that people think I'm just not talking on my butt, right? But he had that with Evil, with Fox. He was trying to take care of Tulare, take it over from Palomino. He was also trying to press the line on Sana about that puppet from Bowling Park's issue. and how things played out. Again, I'll circle around to Art Romo. There was a lot, right? Which I would touch on little by little, but getting back to this, there was repercussion. When I mean repercussion, for example, little, he was already doing too much. Well, MS was, right? To be exact. And it was all being done under evil's guidance, but under Rube's wing. Because Rube was the one that wanted little, he wanted to get his claws in Armenian power in a mess, right? But that's how these individuals are, right? When something sees fit, it's all good, That's a camarada right there. It's a good homie. Yeah, he's my soldado. Let's bless him. But when things start looking shady and there's more headaches than needed than gaining jale or even money, and they actually have to buck up for a camarada, right? They rather let the camarada go. Whatever you done for the movement, it's or for them. At the end of the day, it's them, right? It's part of that tecato in them, That's just, it's kind of like an instinct, right? But anyways, getting to what happened again, he was pressing the line with Sana. But you guys, I will touch on the little conflict with Ruben Sana, right? Behind Puppet and all that Mondo trip. But basically, Rube was trying to have Puppet whacked, which Sana wasn't allowing it. And yes, Rube was a commissioner, but Sana had that love from the other two commissioners, right? So it wasn't being permitted. So what happened? I want to talk about Grillo or Cricket from Lopers in OC. He was under Sana, right? And it was a good homie. I met him for what 2-3 weeks on the yard before he got transferred out there where Rube was, and he was a good homie. Of course, he was under Sana, but at the same time, he knew his guidance as a camarada, right, or his obligations as a camarada, which in reality is to us to fall under them, right? But when he got there, I guess that love he had for camaradas from OC on the yard where Rube was at started making him feel uncomfortable. And he sent the homie on a couple bogus missions. Not bogus, excuse me. But he sent them, for example, to get camaradas from OC to go up or down, excuse me, I don't know, to Ventura, pick up, some candy and take it out east somewhere. And the homie, Grillo, he went out there and did it, got it done. But instead of this being like a pleasure thing, their head works 10,000 different ways, right? To him, he just saw power. Power that, of course, he felt threatened by. And at the same time, putting visitors on that yard to, you know, to come visit and bring good candies, right? Up to the visiting, and again, it was all, he started dwelling in his head, like, he was pressing against Sana. And this camarada, and all in all, was a reflection of OC, right? Which, it goes back to what they say, it just makes no sense what they actually say, which is, the EME comes before anything. Homeboy has it tatted on his back. But at the same time, He's jealous about his same brother. He's politicking against his brother. He starts feeling skeletons in his closet. And by doing so, what does that mean? That good camaradas start being a threat. So the action is to have him removed, politicked on. So what does he do? He, and please pay attention because it came out later, right? He sent some material. That since the material landed, up in Ventura or somewhere there, excuse me, it was no good. It was stuck out there on the streets. People had to sit on that because it was stuck. It was no good. So again, he's a member, and as a member, we don't question them, right? We're not entitled to. You see, they're entitled to run our program however they want. They could basically set us up to their liking and we can discuss it or to walk right into it, right? For example, that material got sent up with Grillo's people and Grillo didn't touch it. Like, he has never dipped into stuff for years. He didn't use. So he was honest with his stuff. He knew better. But he brought it in, and when it came in, you guys know what happened. It was wet, it was bunk, it was no good. So everybody, started complaining. And just picture this, everyone. For people in prison to complain that the material is bunk, just imagine it. When people inside ain't used to it, right? So it shouldn't have been that much of an issue, right? Which is done all the time. What don't work on the streets gets sent inside and gets sold inside. That's just what it is. Every carnal, I'm sure, NM member, they don't waste. What's bad on the streets comes inside to get moved and worked on. But this was just out there that way. And he playing Grillo. Rube felt this fool, excuse me, the homie Grillo had too much jugo, too many people for Sana under him, that he didn't know where that little trip he had going on with Sana, because Sana wasn't going to sit down and just allow Rube to step all over him, right? He was going to push back. He was pushing back. So anyways, he blamed homeboy that when they left Ventura, there was some Bombay material. The one that, well, you guys get it, Bombay, right? I don't want to glorify that, but by the time it got brought in by Grillo's people, that it was bunk. So they either cut it and burned them or whatever. Regardless, there's that key word that is death to a camarada. When a Pili says, this guy dipped into my stuff, he dipped into EME stuff, there's no coming back for it. There's nothing even Sana could do with it. Because what Grillo should have done is have someone there when he picked up and tested it, the amount before it got sent, so that it was verified it was the same material that left that got to where it was going. But I'm guilty as this, as a campolero. We're meant to follow and trust blindsided, but it happens all the time where camaradas walk right into getting set up due to a power trip they have amongst themselves. You see, the EME don't come first for them. They themselves, their tecato ass veins come first. And that would always be. So anyways, I know I don't want to prolong this too long. But as you guys know, Rube washed him up, had him whack, and about 10 homies from Orange County that were underneath them that Rube put in the hat, had him whacked, and they went to that side that a lot of people say I would never be on that side, right? But again, I'm not here to say that side's okay, because it's not in no way, shape, or form. But we're talking about politics, right? And anyways, you know, he took the homie's career as the other homie's career with no reason but greed, fear. Let's be sincere, it was fear of Sana, of his power, and jealousy. And they're tecatos. They know how to, play them politics amongst his brothers so good. There ain't no camarada gonna be able to stand to their politics. Let's just be honest. But within time, you know, there was a homie that was with Rube when this happened, that Rube trusted a little bit too much. If you guys get what I'm saying, he's from Santa Monica, and I'll say his name. They called him Spanky from Santa Monica, and he got to where we were at in Philadelphia, and he got close with Sana. Not just with Sana, with Joe, with the Billy from Gary Lomas, because overall he had a good head on his shoulders. It's just he overtrusted, He confined things that a Billy's confining him to another Billy. And again, you don't do that. They hate each other. They might play a part, but, And in this, it came out the little go around to wash up Grillo. Ever since it left Ventura, how it was, how this homie Spanky had people out there on the streets that tried to get it out, and practically not even giving it away. People wanted it. Even people that knew how to add a little bit of acids to it and whatever to kind of clean it up, they didn't want it. So by him saying this, he was confessing to Sana he helped Rube politic against his soldado. Sana can't go off a word of a sureño against Rube, but what he can do is have homeboy whack for following Rube's orders. So it's exactly what happened. Sana said Sana wanted this full clip, period, to send a good message to Rube. Basically, Rube, you knocked my soldado down and his people. You sent him to the side, but I took the life of one of yours. As anyone that's your soldado that comes my way, right? It was going to get ugly, Son ended up passing away, and I think that kind of eased it, right? But, I'm not going to say I'm proud of it, but I was the one that had to pick up a little toy and had to attempt that. Because again, the homie Spanky, he was no chump, and he was no, so it wasn't like he was one of them that I got there and and he tried to run or whatever. Nah, he turned around and it was boogie time, right? You guys get it. So yeah, he got removed from the yard, but basically the main goal wasn't met. But it was understood, it wasn't little boy either. But anyways, to get into the current thing, right? Rube would end up putting little men in the hat, trying to put Fox in the hat, to cover his butt. What he was doing with Armenian power, what he was doing behind the scenes with MS. He basically put all MS on a green light. Do please hear this. He put all MS on a green light from certain cliques Because honestly, he was scared that it was going to reach the commission on the orders he was giving him. As you hear all this about Mula and Fox, which is BS. Think about it. Rube's in the shelf already. Mike's in the shelf. You know, Mula, yeah, he's a señor now since he hit the feds, not on the street. But Fox is still good. He's there. And he was going against all of them. So there's a good reason behind it. In actions, look for answers. Anyways, the reason Rube's on the shelf is because he went against MS, right? This opened up the door for Coco, the Billy from 18th Street, to feel he could start pressing on MS, calling them out their name, trying to suppress them. But the last straw for Rube was what happened when they took out the two camaradas. Yes, that myth that they took out an EME member, that's a lie. MS took out two homies that gave their life to protect Rube. MS was going to take Rube's life because he was the weakest lane on the yard. Just being sincere, he's an old man already. He should have been done retired, right? But they have this funny way of releasing power, right? But when they rushed Rube, the two camaradas, did what we're supposed to do as campoleros. They went in and they bucked up and they protected Rube because we're soldados, right? And they lost their life in the midst. That's what you guys heard, MS took out an EME member. No, they attempted to take out Rube Soto. Two campoleros sureños jumped in to protect them and lost their life. And from that, Rube was a one way to, it was a liability, but he had a lot of respect. He happened to hit the street, and yeah, he's hurt, but he's in the shelf, as like I mentioned, and the one that was left with all the trauma right now is Coco. I really think they haven't decided to put the plug on Coco for his disrespect, for the loss of money he cost, for having a lot of MS that were there to some form, bringing feria to the cause, pull away for his disrespect, right? Which is not over. Within time, MS ain't gonna sit still on Coco. You guys will see. But he's feeling the rev right now. He's not in the shelf, but he has a couple Billy, two from MS, one from East LA, and another one politicking to have him whacked, to have him clipped for not behaving like a Billy. But to answer me this before I go, and all I tell me how a Billy's supposed to behave according to their guidelines. Please listen. According to their guidelines, not what we're fed to believe, but by their actions. But anyways, everyone, I'll let you guys go. I'm currently here in the hospital, bored, waiting on surgery. I hope I didn't take too much of your time, and I hope I made sense. I'm under, I don't know how much medication, but it don't matter. Again, I just wanted to touch on this, for all those that haven't gone there. Please, I hope you get what I was trying to put out in this. It don't matter what you do, how you do it. We're raised to believe that everything we should do is to please these individuals. As you see, even give our lives. It's a misled. At the end of the day, we're only worth how much their head thinks we're worth. It's not the heart. It ain't what we show heart or we show money, whatever, to the causa. Loyalty, sweat, blood. At the end of the day, if you make one of them feel uncomfortable because you're close to another one, you're to be thrown out. You're gonna be politic in the worst way. So, just be smart. And like I always say, I'm not on here to spread poison. I'm on here to spread the message that everything we're engraved to believe as kids is a lie. You're gonna be like myself as you go along. Of course, you're gonna put everything aside because you're already there, and that's what you should do. But you're gonna constantly be going through ache to see that you're in a lie, that you're wasting your life, that you're sitting down. In my case, that you lost blood, you lost health, you lost family, you lost everything. In my case, I lost my life for it. Thank you, God, right? And it's all a myth. One ain't a myth. It's what's actually there, Good friendships, making a life, family, wife, pleasing your jefita family. Those will always be there. Don't go down a path that, you might not end up in prison. You might not end up dead. But it will bite you in the butt. You will end up going through the struggles. You see, that's another myth. That whatever we do, we'll pay in another life. No. What we do, we pay in this life. Because that's life. Remember, God don't punish. So when we move on, we're not going to pay for that punishment there. We're to pay for it here. Look at me. Doctors came in today. Everyone, I'm going against the grain on this. You guys know I am, but I've always been, so, I'm still puesto. I'm still in this position. May God's will happen however He wants it to happen. Do excuse if I sound all whack again. To be honest, I shouldn't even be talking for this long, but I do miss the lives with everybody. Thank you, everybody. You guys have made me feel warm and have this time go by smoother, right? Thank you for your love. But again, I hope everybody gets the message, be smart. Stay loyal to those that are loyal to you. It's always smart of a man to test loyalty amongst those around you. And there's no reason to even cause any type of blood, right? Simple. You see it's not there. Put your arm around those that are. Stay true to yourself and love your loved ones. I love everyone. Be blessed.